Hello, friends. How you all doing? I hope you are keeping cool. I hope everything is moving well with you. Today, I'm here on behalf of Gifted Hands Fashion House, and I'll be teaching you how to make a corset tube dress. A corset tube dress. Once again, I can't appreciate everyone that have been subscribing and following us to date. All my ardent followers, may God richly bless you. And to the people who are new on this session, please subscribe. Just click on your subscribe button to encourage us. A lot of people um, do call on phone telling us how much they love what we are doing and how they encourage and how they would like to encourage us. But I keep telling them that the only encouragement we need from you is your subscription. It takes nothing to subscribe, it's just free of charge. Okay, just click on that subscribe button and we are good to go. Good. And then another thing, help us share this page. We are new into the system. Help us share the page and also like it. All this really means so much to us. Please, today we'll be looking into this corset dress, how to make this particular corset dress. All right, to make a corset dress, there are two methods of making a corset dress. The first method, I'll be teaching you the first method as well as the second method. Okay, but let's first of all draw out our corset pattern. When we draw out the corset pattern, it is from the pattern then that I will now teach you the two methods of making a corset. In making a corset, always try as much as possible to do it first on the pattern paper because there's so much involved in drafting out a corset. So you wouldn't want to waste your fabric unnecessarily. Okay, so draft it on the pattern paper before transferring it to your main fabric. Another thing, while making a corset, try to keep the front corset and the back corset together so that everything will be equal. Okay, you can see I joined this pattern paper together. I joined two papers together so that I can get my front and my back on the same front page. All right, I'll be working with the following measurements: my bust, my under bust, my chest line, my nipple to nipple, my waist, my half length. Okay, and then since it's going to be a gown, I don't need to, I need to stop at the half length. Okay, I need to stop just at my half length. So I'll be taking my measurements now. The first measurement I'll be working with, I'll first of all use my bust measurement. I'll use my bust measurement to demarcate this pattern paper. I'm using my bust measurement because my bust is the biggest part of my upper bodies. So my bust, I'm working with a bust of 44. When I divide it by 4, I'll get 11. Here's my 11. Mark out that 11. Mark it out. You can come along with your own materials and follow me suit. Okay, you don't need to wait. You can come along and practice together. What I do, you do it. And in doing so, you find out that it's going to be more easier to learn. So here's the line that demarcates my front and my back fabric. I'll rule it out. So my front will be here, while my back will be here. The next thing I'll do now, let's concentrate on the front part. Next thing I'll do now, I'm going to take 1 inch seam allowance. This 1 inch is going to stand as my shoulder line. So I'll just place it like this because I know this is 1 inch, or rather, this is 1 inch. I'm going to draw it out. So this is either my shoulder line or my starting point. Let's label it my starting point. Okay, from here, I'm going to take all the vertical measurements. The vertical measurements are those measurements that can go around your body. For instance, my bust is my vertical measurement around my bust. My chest line is my vertical measurement. My waist is my vertical measurement. So all those measurements are what I'll be taking. From here now, from this starting point, I'm working with my chest line is 9. Yes, 9. My bust point is 10. Yes, 10. My under bust is 13 and a half. Here's it. My half length is 17. I can even use 18. And this is my 2 inches seam allowance. So I'm going to connect this line. If I want, I can connect it and extend it here, but no, I'll just connect to the front so that we'll deal with the front first. And then after that, we'll move to the back. So to connect this one, I'll just take my chest line like this. And then the next line is my bust point line. I'm going to connect it straight down like this. The next line is my under bust line. And then the next line is my half length. So I can simply label this as chest line, bust point, under bust, half length, and the last one is seam allowance. I hope you're following suit. Now the next thing I'll do is to take my nipple to nipple measurement. I don't need to connect this chest line to this point because I'm going to sketch my tube here. Okay, the corset is going to be here, so I don't need to extend this line so it doesn't confuse us. Now I'll take my nipple to nipple. I'm working with a nipple to nipple of 7 inches. Okay, sorry, I'm working with a nipple to nipple of 7 inches. So 7 divided by 2 is 3.5 plus half inch is 4. So I'm working with 4 inches. I'll mark it here. From here, I'll mark 4 inches. From here, I'll also mark 4 inches. And then I'll connect it here. Here's my nipple to nipple line. The next thing I need to do, I want to take the measurement between my bust point and my under bust. But before I do that, let me take my dart. I need to get 1 inch dart at this under bust area. Here's my under bust. I want to take my 1 inch dart on both sides. So I'll place it like this. Mark out 1. I'll place it here too and mark out 1. You can see 1 inch on both sides. So I'll connect the dart. I'll connect it with a straight line because it is half length. So I'll connect it like this. And then I need to take this dart up to this bust point area. So it's going to go like this. And this one here is going to come like this. I've connected my dart. You can see it very neat. Please do it the same way I'm doing it and you'll come out with good results. But remember, work with your own measurement, okay? Your bust measurement may not be 44, okay? So work with your particular measurement. Then the next thing I need to do now, I need to take the measurement between my bust point. This is my bust point line. The measurement between this bust point and this under bust. So to do that, I'll place my tape and check what I have. So what I have is 3.5. You may have 4, depending on the distance between your bust point and your underbust. So whatever thing you have is what you use to um the measurement you'll be using. Okay, so here is 3.5. Now what I'll do here, I'm going to connect this 3.5 all the way round, just like this. Watch me do it. Place my tape, then I'll take 3.5, 3.5, 3.5, 3.5, 3.5, just like that. Yeah, that reminds me, please, those of you calling us on our phone number, please, our advice, if you need to gather any information about our fashion school, call us, call us about the fashion school straight. And most people will call and then deviate from the purpose of calling. Please, we don't welcome that. Once you call, go straight to your reason for calling, but it's exclusively, should be exclusively about our fashion school. If you are calling to appreciate us for the work we are doing here, just you can do it on the comment section. Okay, it's not as if we don't appreciate you calling, but um, our time schedule won't permit us to answer to most calls, especially when the call is um out out of business, if I should say that, if I should use that word. Okay, I've made my circle with 3.5. You can see it. I'm going to use dotted lines just like this. Okay, because this circle, this particular one, is not permanent. I'm not working with it. This is just temporal. It is from this circle that I will get the main circle I'll be working with. So watch us as we do it. I'm using dotted lines for this, but when I'm making when I'll be making the main circle, I'm going to carve it out boldly. So I've taken that out. The next thing I need to do, you know, in everyone's bust, especially in every woman's bust, the left part of the bust is always bigger than the inner part, right? The left part is always bigger than the inner part. What I mean, this is the inner part. This is the inner part of the bust, and this is the left part of the bust. So I am going to reduce this one with 1 inch, this inner part, but I'm going to extend this one to make it bigger with about 1.5 inches or 2 inches. So what I'll do, from this closed edge, you can see it here, from this closed edge, I'll place my tape like this, and then I'll mark 1 inch. Here's my 1 inch. But from this part here, I'll place my tape like this and mark out 1.5 inch or 2 inches. Anyone? Can you see it? So what I'll do now, it is either I draw out a straight line, but if you don't want to draw a straight line, still okay. The essence of this straight line here is for it to stand as a guide so that I can conveniently connect. Okay, so this straight line goes to this part too. And what I'll do now, from this point, I'm going to connect this down to this center part. Are you following? So I'll be taking it like this, like this, like this, like this, like this, till I get to this center part. So I just need to connect it boldly. Okay, same thing goes to this part. I'll be taking it like this till I get here. So I just need to connect this one to boldly. So I've connected this line and this one. You can see it from here. I took this down to this point, and then from here I took this down to this point. Okay, the next thing I need to do, and then you can notice I didn't work with this again. This is the line I've decided to go with. I need to extend this nipple to nipple line. I need to extend it. And not just that, in extending this line, it depends where you want your corset to stop. If you want the corset to be revealing, you can come down by ½ inch or 1 inch if you want it to reveal part of your bust. And then if you want to leave it like this, it's still okay. Then if you want it to cover you up, if you want it to cover up a bit, okay, you can extend this line up here. So I'm extending mine with 1 inch. You can extend with ½ inch if you like. I'm extending mine with 1 inch. I've extended it up here. Next thing I'll do now is from this point, I'm going to connect to this line. But in doing that, I also need to extend this part here. Okay, you know, from here I measured out 1 inch. So I need to extend this. I can extend it with 1.5. I can extend it with 1 inch, depending what I want. So I'll just place like this and extend this line with 1 inch. See how I place my tape? Can you see it? So this is 1 inch. I mark 1 inch up here, which means I have a straight line like this, which means this straight line goes all the way like this. Is that okay? So here too, from this point here, from this bust point, remember we took 1.5 inches here. From this circle we took 1.5. So from this point I'm going to take my 1 inch up. So my 1 inch is like this. So it means I need to extend this line too. Is that clear? So this line comes from this point down, and this one comes from this point down. I hope you're with me. Now the next thing I'll do now is to connect this line to this point. I'm going to do it like this first, after which I'll now connect so I don't make mistakes. And this one comes like this as well. So I have to connect this like this. I hope you are with us, like this. And then I have to connect this one too like this. Okay, just like this. So you can see this part is bigger than that. This is just what we want. And then with this, I'm going to take my side measurement. In taking the side measurement, I'm not adding any seam allowance. The seam allowances will be added on the main fabric. So my bust measurement, I'm working with a bust of 44 divided by 4 is 11. So I'm going to take my 11 here. Here's my 11. And then I'm working with a half length, that is my waist measurement is 41. 41 divided by 4 is 10.25. Here's my 10.25. Then I'll connect it straight down like this. And then this is my chest line. This is my chest line here. Remember that 1 inch we extended. See it here. That 1 inch we extended. See the other 1 inch here. Is that okay? This is that 1 inch we extended up here. So I've drawn a line to indicate it. Now this 1 inch here now becomes my new armhole. I was supposed to take my armhole from this chest line, just like this. But I'm not going to take it here. I'm going to bring it down like this. Are you getting it? It's going to come like this on this second line. And that's all to make a front corset. Now, before we cut out this front corset, I want us to trace the back corset. Now, to trace the back corset, I'm first going to take my my zip measurement. Let me work with a zip allowance of 2 inches. Okay, I'm using 2 inches for my zip. Two inches for my zip. Then I'll connect it now. Connect the 2 inches. So this is my zip area. Now, here's my chest line. Remember the new chest line? Here's the new chest line. So I'm going to work with that new chest line. Connect it like this. From this one, get my chest line. And then the next thing I need is my half length. I'm going to get it like this too. And then my seam allowance. Okay. Now, I'll be taking my nipple to nipple. We worked with a nipple to nipple of 4 inches. You can see it here, 4 inches. So I'm going to measure out that 4 inches here as well. 4, 4, and 4. Then I'll connect it. Next thing I'll do here, I'm going to take my dart on both sides. I'm going to mark ½ inch, half here, half here. And then remember the back dart. Here's my chest line, here's my half length, and here's my seam allowance. Okay, remember, here's my chest line, my half length, and seam allowance. The back dart starts 1 inch below your chest line. So here's my 1 inch. I'll now connect it like this, and this one like this too. I've made my dart, and then the next thing to do is to take my side measurement. Remember, you can see I'm not taking the measurement from the zip allowance area. I'm taking it after the zip allowance area. So I'm working with a bust of 44 divided by 4 is 11. Here's my 11. And on the half length, I'm working with a waist of 10.5. That is waist of 41 divided by 4, 10.25. Mark it here. and then I'll connect the two lines together. This is for the back. Now, what I need to do next, when I'll be tracing this front and back to my main fabric, I'm going to add all the allowances I need. Now, here's how we calculate the allowance for a corset dress. Looking at this front now, I did not add any allowance. So if I want to trace it on my fabric, okay, I'll check the allowance I removed from here is 2 inches. That. The allowance I took away from here is 2 inches. The one I took away from here is 1 inch and 1.5, that's 2. So the 2 inches, I'm going to add 2 inches extra allowance first. Okay, when I'm tracing on my main fabric, 2 inches extra allowance first, and then I'll add 3 inches seam allowance, which means the allowance I'm expected to add on my main fabric is 5 inches seam allowance. Same thing with this one. For this one, I removed half inch here and half inch here. That is 1 inch seam allowance. So when I want to trace it on my main fabric, I'm going to first of all add 1 inch seam allowance all the way here before I add my 3 inches seam allowance, which means the front is going to carry 5 inches seam allowance and the back is going to carry 4 inches seam allowance. Take note of that. This is 5 inches seam allowance and this is 4 inches seam allowance. Okay, now this is a corset dress. We are not through with this. This is a corset dress, so I'm not likely going to leave this part like this. If you want to leave it, it's your choice. But if you still want, you can slant it down a bit. You can shape it, give it a curvy shape. Okay, so it will look good. So I can reduce it down like 1 inch. And then I'll take it from here to this 1 inch. Okay, just like this. So I want it to be a little bit curvy. And then we are now going to start cutting this. Now pay attention in cutting it. Let me first of all sketch out how the cutting is going to be like. To cut, I'm going to start from here, from this point. I'll cut it down like this. I get it. And then from this point, I'm not working with this dotted part. It's this part I need. So from this point, I'm going to cut it up to this place so that I'll cut it out from this line. This line, I'll cut it out from this line. This 1 inch we took up. And this one will give us our the mid part of our corset. Then from this point too, I'm going to cut it down like this, and I'm going to cut also like this so that I'll get it like this. Remember, this one goes here while this one goes here. Are you getting? And then cut this one from this point, just like that. But the thing that now what makes the difference between the two types of corset is what I want to show you now. This first type of corset, let's be cutting it. The first method is what we'll cut now. You cut like this. Cut here. And then cut like this. This is the mid part, the midpoint, the center part of the corset. And then from here now, I'm going to, okay, let me take it from here. I'm going to cut from here. Cut from here as well. And then I'll take this one up here. See it? I'm removing this completely as well as this. Now, this is going to be the corset, the bustier area. And then I'll cut this off. This is for the front part. And then for the back. Okay, I need to show you how to make, we'll come back to this later. You know, sometimes when you make your zip, the back zip is always puffy. So to eliminate that puff, we don't need this. To eliminate that puff, what you'll do here, from this half length, okay, you come in by half, like there's so many ways of doing it. You come in by, I'm using 1 inch, and then I'll connect from this point, down to this 1 inch, and then from this point I also connect it down like this. Okay, and then another thing I need to do here, I'm going to take it in by half an inch, just half an inch. It can even be lesser than half an inch. Okay, so I'll also connect from here to this point, and from this point connect it down like this. So to get a perfect zip area, I'll cut off this. So that when I want to fix my zip, I'm going to take it from here. It's going to enter here. So this small one I'll be removing here. I'll add it back. This part I'll be taking away from here. This part, that it is half inch, I'll remember to add it also when I'm tracing on my main fabric, which means what we'll be needing here is 4.5. Okay, so here's my dart. I don't need to cut off the dart because I'll be sewing it together. So I'll just notch my dart area and then cut off this. So with this now, we are done. I need to notch my zip area too. And then with this now, I'm done with the back of my corset. Now let's go to the front. I told you there are 2 ways of making a corset. The first method is what I'll be showing you now. I'll show you the first method. Now see this part, you need to cut it off too. Cut it off from here. You don't need this one. So this is what I have, like this. There's great need for you to always number. This is number 1, and this is 2, and this is 3. Okay, we are going to sew this part, so let me just mark it out. So this part is going to be joined, and this part is the up, and here is the down. Here too is down. So I need to label it like that so that I don't get confused or mix them up. All right. Now, the first method of making a corset, I'll first of all teach you this method, and after this method, I'll teach you the next one in another pattern paper. So what I need to do here, this 1 inch I took here, I'm going to mark like 2 inches down from here, from this point. Okay, 2 inches from this other point here. See it, this point, I'll mark another 2 inches. Here's my 2 inches. And then from this upper part, here, I'm going to mark about 3.5 inches. Yeah, 3.5. See it here. So I'll be connecting this from here, connect it to this point, and from here to connect it like this. So let me draw it out. It's like this and like this. Okay. Now I'll cut it off. I'll cut it out. Secure it before cutting out. So I've secured it now. Then I'll cut it out from here. Just like this. This is the upper part and this is the lower part. We are not done. Let me secure this one too with my pin. Okay, I've secured it with my pin. We are not done. So what I need to do here now, at this point, I'm going to cut off this dart that is in form of triangle, like this. I'll cut from here. Then I'll cut this one too from here. I need to secure this with my pin as well. So I have this two, and then this. Now for this part, we need to complete this part. We are not done with this yet. What I'll do for this part, I'm going to mark about 0.75 inches here. You can mark half, you can mark 0.75, you can even mark 1. So let me mark 1 inch, and at this point I'll mark 1 inch as well. Then I'll connect it like this. From this point I'll connect to this, and from this one to I'll connect to this. Okay, sorry, from this point I'll connect to this, and from this one to I'll connect to this. So I'm going to cut it off from here. I'm going to cut off from here. Just like this. Now this becomes becomes like this. So when I want to sew, I'll sew these two together and then join it to this one, and it's going to be like this. This is going to come in this format like this. When you sew it, you now get it like this. Okay, and then remember this one too is like, so this is how it's going to look like. These two, you join it together. See the place I wrote down, so you should know this down means you sew it to this, and this one too means you sew it to this. Okay, so when you now sew together, and then this one comes like this. The same thing on this. You know, all these are two, they are two in number, so one of these will come here. Same thing with this ones. And then remember your 5 inches seam allowance you need to add by this side. By this side you need ½ inch, 0.5, 0.5. This side 0.5, 0.5. Okay, and then you also need seam allowances at this part. You add 0.5 here, 0.5. This one's to 0.5 all the way on your fabric. Add that 0.5 that you used to join these ones, and then 0.5 to join it here. But for the side, these two sides, what you'll be adding is 5 inches. Take note. So this is just one method of making a corset. I'll be showing you the other method of making this same corset. I'll be showing you that on this pattern here. For this other method, what you need to do, remember for the other one we did, the first one, the first method, what we did was to we marked like from here, we marked about 3.5 or 4 inches. We marked it here, and then from this curved area, from this point, where is it? From this point here, from this point, we came down with 2 inches. From this point to come down with 2 inches. Now that 2 inches you came down with, you'll be connecting it like this. From here, connect like this, and then from here, connect it down. Okay, just like this. Like this. Okay, then after you cut out from here, the next thing we did was to we cut out from this point in order to get this triangle. After which we came here at this point, came up with ½ inch or 1 inch. You mark it from here, come up with ½ inch or 1 inch, and then you connect it again like this. It's just a kind of that we are making. Connect this one again like this. So after connecting, you have this. Okay, so this is actually what we are going to cut off from this part. This is what we are going to cut off. Cut off from here, cut off from here, and cut here. But for the second method, this one is just for the first method. But for the second method, I don't need to do all this. What I need to do is simply come here. You know this 1 inch we left here. I'm going to take it also up here. I'll mark 1 inch here, and then another 1 inch here. Then I'll connect this 1 inch to this point like this. like this. Then this one, connect it like this. Can you see it? So for the second method, what we'll do is to cut like this. Just follow this pattern. Cut like this down here. And then cut this one. Sorry. Cut it like this down here. Are you following? So let me sketch out the cutting for the second method. You cut as usual like this, and to this part. Then cut again like this, cut it round like this. Then at this point, see what I'll cut from here. I'll cut like this to this point, and then from here I'll cut like this to this point. That's all. Okay, cut like this, so that I'll now join these two together when I'll be making the bust. And then when I join it together, it gives me the shape I want. So this one is very different from the other one. This one goes this way, come down, comes here, come down. But the other one is cut this way. The other one, you don't need this guards here. Cut it this way. And then this one too, this way. Okay, and then you open this place. So I think the explanation is vivid enough. I think I've done quite a good explanation on this corset making. In case you have any questions, or if there's any part of it you don't understand fully well, do well to go down to the comment section and tell us what the problem might be. And then the next thing we'll do is to transfer this to the main fabric on our next video. We'll be transferring this work to the main fabric and sewing it as well. Like I said before, I'm doing this on behalf of Gifted Hands Fashion House. Gifted Hands is a fashion school where you will be opportune to learn everything about females wear, children's wear, even wedding gown, how to make hats, otogele, turban, name them, anything headgear. You learn everything you need to know on females wear in just 6 months. And after 6 months, you'll be perfect enough to make your own clothing as well as your own hats. Okay? And then you can reach us with the number on your screen in case you have any reason to call us. Call us with those numbers. Thank you.